Yeah, good afternoon, Jim. Good afternoon, Simon. We well?
We are well, Alex.
We're very well.
Waiting for some insight, so we'll get past you as quick as possible.
We're going to hand the baton to you, the Olympic baton to you. Incidentally, somebody's telling me there that Meadowbank Stadium that I mentioned there in Edinburgh, the venue of the Commonwealth Games, was also the venue of the European Juggling Convention in 1998.
Oh, well, there's something to remember.
I don't remember that, but many of you might do.
But you're a bit of a juggler.
Anyway, tell me about West Ham. What's going on this lunchtime, Alex?
Yeah, it looks like Armando Broja, a young player from Chelsea, did well at Southampton to a point last season on loan. Certainly started the season well, fell away a bit in the second part of the season. Hence the fact Southampton actually, I'm told, aren't following up their interest in signing him permanently. That could leave West Ham with a bit of a free run. £30 million is the fee that's been mentioned to me. Thomas Tuchel, I think ideally he wants to have a look at Broja during the summer, during the pre-season, to see perhaps if he could force his way into the Chelsea team. But I think £30 million might be enough to change that thinking. West Ham making waves. Jim, you broke the story about them paying big money for the central defender Aguerd last week. We know they're still locked in talks for Alphonse Areola as well. So David Moyes is being backed. I think West Ham fans will be happy with that. On the subject of Southampton, by the way, you can probably hear my phone pinging away in the background. They're close to making another sign. They've got Gavin Bazunu, talented young goalkeeper from Manchester City, and they're going for potential again in the form of the Bochum centre-back playing over in Germany, Armel Bola-Kotchap. It will be a 4-year contract, a fee for around €10 million. He's a physical central defender who they believe could go right to the very top. It's going to be a busy summer at St Mary's. I was told by a source close to the club last week, Southampton could be looking at as many as 10 signings this summer.
Gee. And this is for a manager who in some quarters was said to be under pressure at the end of the season, Hassan Hüttl.
Well, they need to change up that a little bit. I mean, sorry to keep you from your lunch, Alex, but what's this about Sam Johnson going to Palace as another goalkeeper? They've already got Guetta. They've already got Jack Butland. Why would they be signing Sam Johnson as well?
I think they're looking at Sam Johnson to come in and be the number one. I think if he did come in, Jack Butland would probably be allowed to go. That was a few weeks ago. I was told by a very reliable source that deal was happening. Obviously, it's not gone through as yet. But goalkeepers, certainly, I mentioned it last week, all the rage this summer because another goalkeeper, Nick Pope, I'm being told he's edging closer to a move to Newcastle United. I think the fee would probably be around £10 million. Burnley, as you know, as well as anybody, Simon, needs some money this summer. They need to raise funds to enable Vincent Kompany to try and build some kind of promotion push. Nick Pope needs to be playing in the Premier League. This was a story, actually, that I broke in my transfer notebook last week. Looks like it might happen. Another player that Newcastle are seriously interested in is the Bayer Leverkusen winger, Moussa Diaby. One stumbling block, though, is the £50 million asking price. And as we've talked about over the last couple of weeks, this so-called Newcastle tax, Simon, that I know you believe is just part and parcel of being cash rich, but they're determined they won't pay over the odds for players. So maybe
Do you believe that they're going to have to pay a premium to get club? Not because of players. I don't want to go the narrative that Gabby talks about, which they won't go there, they'd rather go to Brentford. But do you believe that they'll have to pay a little bit more because people know their financial position?
I think inevitably, in the end, they might have to accept that. But they don't seem willing to accept it at the moment because the Sven Botman deal is still hanging in the air. I know they're hoping to hold more talks with the advisors of Ugo Ekitike this week, but that one is dragging on as well. So at the moment, they are sticking to their standpoint that they won't be forced to pay over the odds just because they can. But I think as they grow and as the summer goes on, it's still very early in the window.
Any indication,
maybe that might
Alex,
change?
Any indication that they're going to stick to this supposed £60 million war chest that was available this summer?
I think it might end up being a bit more than that.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking,
Yeah, I think it'll end up being more than that.
Thanks for the question. We enjoyed that.
Thank you.
What about Manchester United and Ten Hag? Is he going back to Ajax for some players for United then, Alex?
Yeah, again, we mentioned this guy's name a week or so ago. Anthony's a right-sided winger, somebody that Manchester United now appear to be showing serious interest in. It's going to be interesting what it means to the dynamic of the Manchester United attack. Marcus Rashford, for example, will he now go and play as a more out-and-out striker, maybe as a backup option to Cristiano Ronaldo? What happens to Anthony Martial, who had an absolute nightmare out on loan last season? I don't think clubs are going to be knocking down the doors at Old Trafford to sign him. Can they find a role for Martial? You've got Jadon Sancho as well, so they could be very blessed in terms of numbers in attack anyway, if not in quality in the case of Anthony Martial. But I think it's another Anthony that Ten Hag certainly wants to recruit. And they're still in for Frenkie de Jong as well. Talks between them and Barcelona progressing slowly, I'm told.
Okay, we spoke about Christian Eriksen yesterday at length with Danny Murphy, and Danny's taken it, got a huge response later on after what he said on talkSPORT, which was namely, can't really see Eriksen fitting in at United. Can you?
I understand his standpoint, and it was something that Sam Matterface said when he was covering for you, Jim, that can you fit Bruno Fernandes and Christian Eriksen into the same Manchester United team? Do they work hard enough out of possession? I would imagine that was the point that Danny was making as well. I'll come at it from a slightly different standpoint. When you look at the number of players they've let go, many of them in midfield, they need numbers and they need quality numbers. And I think Christian Eriksen has proved his quality. So I think if you're talking about squad rotation, maybe Bruno Fernandes won't like the fact that he won't start week in, week out, but you could argue that his form last season doesn't deserve a guaranteed starting place. So I can understand the sense. And again, Eriksen is a player that Ten Hag knows. He trained with Ajax. He was really impressed. I mentioned that he wanted to remain in London ideally. I believe that is still the case, but Tottenham, I think, are trying to balance up the same things as Manchester United because they've already recruited a number of players this summer. We know that Antonio Conte wants to play in a certain way, and maybe Eriksen doesn't fit into their team. So it's going to be fascinating to see how this one unfolds.
Jim White and Simon Jordan. Monday to Friday mornings from 10 on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.